Elko is back in College Station, folks, but this as the commander and chief of Aggieland, not the defensive coordinator. If you've been keeping up with college football at all, you know Mike Elko is back in College Station. Thought it was a good hire. Thought it was going to be a good fit, good CEO type mentality right there. That is what the Aggies have been missing. This also isn't a roster. It's bare. It's not. And if they can answer a few questions early in the season, this could be one of the surprise teams in the SEC and in the entire sport of college football. I know the Aggies can be the butt of people's jokes. It's the easy, low-hanging fruit joke. But in the new age of college football, where money and resources are as important as ever, few, if any, are better off than the Aggies. It's always you hear the people like, well, I mean, they've never done it. It's the can't and never. There's a difference. Texas A&M can. They certainly can. They just haven't yet. That doesn't mean they never will. They just haven't yet. Maybe this is the year. I think Elko's going to get them right. It may take a year or two, but I think this year the roster, again, is not bare. It's not bare. But with that being said, I'm here to give you the three biggest what-ifs for the Texas A&M Aggies heading into 2024. Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered platform, guys. I am your host, Dave Shumate, longtime college football personnel guy, worked in 7 years of SEC recruiting experience working in personnel departments across the Southeastern Conference. But before we get to this segment, guys, we got to pay some bills here. And just like every other What If segment that I've done, our proud sponsor, our guys, SeatGeek. Guys, if you're into Major League Baseball, we got the All-Star game coming up. I just moved to Atlanta, as you can tell. That's why this new studio isn't set up. We'll get that to you here in a bit if you're following us along on the SEC Unfiltered platform. But my point being, Atlanta, going to a couple Braves games, used our guys at SeatGeek. First time I used them, I used that code, SECU, for $20 off your first purchase. I encourage you to do the same. If you're in Atlanta, come Labor Day weekend, you're going to the Clemson Georgia game, use our guys at SeatGeek, guys. And again, use code SECU for $20 off your first purchase. But let's get back to why you're here. Three biggest what ifs for Texas A&M heading in to the 2024 college football season. First, Aggie fans, don't log out yet. Don't get out of your browser yet. But what if Connor Weigman just doesn't pan out? I know that's a little broad, but hear me out here for a couple reasons. Let's be honest. I think that's the biggest question heading into A&M. I think if you told me, hey, Connor Weigman's a top 2 or 3 quarterback drafted in the 2020-25 NFL draft, I think it'd be, yeah, A&M probably won 9-10 games. But let's just say for whatever reason he doesn't. He doesn't pan out either from injury, which we've seen that. He got hurt in the Auburn game last year. Not taking that next step as a pro and how he prepares week to week, being a leader. Because being a quarterback, especially in the SEC, people look up to you. People are going to look down to that locker down there big. What's QB1 doing over there? Does he have good habits? Is he preparing? Is he putting his best foot forward for us to have success on Saturday? That's something I've heard from people close to the building, people that have been on the previous staff, and even some on this staff, that's something they're hoping he can develop in. And maybe new offensive coordinator coming over from Kansas State had success as well. You know about him, Colin Klein. Maybe he can take him under his wing and help him. Maybe just something like Bobby Petrino and him just didn't mesh. Maybe him and Jimbo Fisher just didn't mesh or something like that. Maybe he's closer. I mean, Colin Klein, younger guy, could relate well. He just had to start taking his preparation seriously and being more of a leader of the football team. Or I mentioned Colin Klein, just not a system fit. I mean, Colin Klein's system at K-State with Will Howard, Skylar Thompson was more of a timing motion-based offense. I mean, most people I think that have watched Connor Weigman would tell you he's at his best when he's sitting in that pocket and can fit it into tight windows and layered at all three levels. So, like I mentioned, there's evidence for all three of that to potentially happen. Not saying it's going to happen, just saying it is. I mean, he's been injured before. He's got to mature. He wasn't mature last year. How did he deal with that injury? Is he going to the training room every day? Is he getting ready? Is he preparing, watching film? That's some stuff he needs to take care of. And it's just a system fit. Not saying it's not. It's just it'll be interesting to see how Klein tweaks that. And again, just not saying that it happens. It's just a legitimate concern. And again, this is a what-if hypothetical segment here. But what if that just doesn't happen? I mean, I don't think he'd get benched because he's so much better than Jalen Henderson. There's a gap between there. There's Connor Weigman and then the backup quarterback, Jalen Henderson. A&M's probably staring at a 7, anywhere from 6 to 8 wins at that point probably. Road games would be tough. Especially if it's a system fit and Colin Klein can't really figure out how to utilize him the best. because I think they have some proven talent out there. I mean, when Moose Muhammad's on the field and having some issues off the field, he's fine. Ja'Day Walker, good player as well. Noah Thomas, good player as well. Some unproven ability there, but they have ability. So maybe they help him as well. But if he doesn't pan out, I can just see it. It'd be a roller coaster of a season. It'd be a roller coaster of a season because I think they have it on all sides of the ball, offense, defense, special teams. They can be good. And again, like I mentioned, if you told me he ended up panning out and being a really good, like Jordan Reed from ESPN, who did the NFL draft analyst projecting him, has him as a top 4 quarterback now. I think if that happens, A&M's in that 9-3 range right there. But next, what if? What if the offensive line play is significantly improved? I think this is real. I think this is real, folks. I mean, I'm looking at my preseason college football magazine that we did. Go visit us. The guys over at CFB Focus, we did a preseason magazine. I highly encourage you. $12. It's phenomenal. We did this 2 deep, but my 2 deep for the Ags right now, you got Trey Zune, probably maybe Aki Ogunabye or Marjay Adams-Reed, transfer from Kansas over there to the left guard spot. Center Mark Naboo, Jr. over there. Remember Bryce Foster transferred over to Kansas. Right guard Cam Dewberry, and then right tackle Chase Basantis. You also some guys, TJ Shanahan could get in that. Ruben Father could get to that as well. So they have some depth. I think just naturally they're going to be better. They're naturally going to be better. It wouldn't surprise me if Naboo's better than Bryce Foster, just because I don't know if he ever really took football real serious, because he also had a passion for track. Nothing wrong with that. I think you just want your center to be all in on football, and I think that was an issue. And also add in not taking any shots. I guess kind of in a way I am. But Steve Addazio was an issue inside that building last year. I don't think the players liked him. I don't think the coaches liked him. I think he was a big issue, and I think Jimbo Fisher would probably tell you he regrets hiring him. Add in Adam Cushing, coming over from Duke with Mike Elko, has a track record of developing offensive linemen, even at the smaller levels. I mean, like I mentioned, he was at Duke, he was at Eastern Illinois for that, then Northwestern before that. So I mean, he's been at some some smaller schools, but he's always developed guys, and he's been on consistent program. And look at Northwestern; they won games on a consistent level, and he was there for 7 years. It looks like from 2009 to 18. From everything I've heard, Adam Cushing is a phenomenal offensive line coach, relates well to players. Something Steve Addazio did not have. So this, what if the offensive line is improved? I think this is likely. And I think a lot of it has to do with who the position coach is. Just telling you, I think Steve Addazio was a guy, he was the OC after Dan Mullen left at Florida, or under Urban Meyer's last few days at Florida, last few years. Then he became the head coach at Boston College, faded out. Again, I don't really know what the motivation was for him to go be almost collecting a check, helping his son get a job. So from what I've heard, it's kind of like that. I think Adam Cushing knows this is a unit that it underachieved, and there's talent. There's talent to work with there. I think they can only be improved. So I actually think this what if is likely. Then finally, guys, what if Texas A&M beats Notre Dame on August 31st, the first game of the year at Kyle Field? College game day is going to be there. Let's share the schedule with you folks. Let's share the schedule here. So like I mentioned, what if they win this game? I mean, I think Notre Dame's going to be pretty good. Marcus Freeman and the boys rolling in. They're going to have a solid defense. They brought in Mike Elko's former quarterback at Duke, Riley Leonard. So that's an interesting storyline. But I remember I worked at Texas A&M in 17 and 18. I remember that first game, Jimbo's first game, when Clemson rolled to town in 18. We could have won that game. Left some points on the board, had one called back. I missed a 2-point conversion. We were in that game. That was a team that ended up going to win the national championship that year. If they win this game, I'm telling you, they win this game, look for A&M to be a sneaky sleeper maybe into the playoff, finishing maybe in the top 4 of the SEC. That should be the goal, and that's going to get you in the conversation to have a playoff appearance for 2-2. I mean, let's just say they win this game. Let's just say for realistic sake, they're 5-1 going into their first bye week here. 5-1. You Mississippi State on the road. Let's just say if we're talking about how A&M beat Notre Dame, put themselves up 5-1 going into the bye week, they should handle Mississippi State at home. First year Jeff Levy. Big game at LSU coming back home. I think A&M can win that. Let's just say they win that for conversation's sake. At South Carolina, another team I don't think it's going to be great on offense. I think it's a very winnable game for South Carolina. Texas A&M's pretty much dominated that series. They only lost once since Texas A&M's been in the league, and they were playing every year because they were cross-division rivals. Another bye week. New Mexico State Aggies. Again, this is New Mexico State who beat Auburn, but they don't have Diego Pieva anymore. So that's a win. This is where it gets tricky. They can go 1-1 in these last two. A&M may sneak in. But at Auburn the week before the biggest game in over a decade since 2011 when Justin Tucker, A&M fans, put one through the uprights to win in the last Texas A&M game before this year. That's a big look-ahead game. At Auburn, tough place to play. Auburn's a young team, probably will be hitting on all cylinders at that point. I'll be interested to see what Hugh Freeze says this next week at Media Days. That's a sleeper game. I don't feel great about A&M in that one going into it just because how many people are going to be so fired up about that Texas game the next week? Hey, man, we got the horns coming in. We got the T-sippers rolling in here the next week, guys. Don't be looking past it because Jordan Hare is one of the tougher places to play in the country. And if Auburn and Hugh Freeze are like 7-8 wins rolling into that, I'm telling you, the place is going to be a loud, ruckus environment. But my main point, if A&M beats Notre Dame, I think they set themselves up really well to either be undefeated. I mean, Florida's a question mark. I think Missouri's going to be pretty good, but to them, or at least 5-1 going to the bye week. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 games left to go either win 4 or 5, and you're probably in the playoffs. 4 or 5 of your last 6, and you're in the playoffs. That Notre Dame game for Notre Dame and Texas A&M. If you look at Notre Dame's schedule, this isn't a Notre Dame schedule segment, but if they win that game, they may be in the playoffs. It's funny, all these games with the 12-team playoffs, there's a lot of games that you're kind of like, man, they win one of those games. That Missouri game for A&M, I talk about it, one of the more underrated games in the country. But what specifically, if A&M wins this Notre Dame game, guys, I'm telling you, I bet they're 5-1 going into their first bye week. And then you just never know that back half of the schedule. Injuries, players get more comfortable in their roles. People start believing. It's amazing what momentum does in college football. People start believing what's going on. I'm telling you, if A&M wins that game against Notre Dame, they're going to go in to Jordan Hare on November 23rd, just needing to win one of their last 2 with a potential chance to go to the college football playoff, guys. I truly believe that. Again, I think A&M is right there. I'll give you my previews if we get closer to the season. But I think if Connor Weigman can live up to that upside, play to his ability, Colin Klein can play to his strengths. I'm telling you, I think that's the big question marks. I think they have enough. You notice I didn't say anything on defense because I trust a Mike Elko defense. Even going back to his Bowling Green days, always has had a solid defense. I'm not going to say great. He's had some great defenses, but he's always been solid. They're not going to be bad. He's too good schematically. He's going to take away your best weapon and make you beat him. Make you beat him without your best. So he's going to take him away, kind of like Nick Saban and Bill Belichick would always do. But Bowling Green had a great defense. Wake Forest had a great defense. Notre Dame had a great defense. Dude, they had good defenses. I expect this. I don't think they may not be the best defense in the league, but it's going to keep them in games. That's not going to be why they don't win 9-10 games this year at A&M. It's going to come down to Connor Weigman. It is. So, to my point, guys, 3 biggest what ifs. What if Connor Weigman doesn't pan out? I think A&M's probably closer in that 6-7 win range at that point. Just saying, just ballparking it. Second, what if the offensive line is improved? I think that's an automatic improvement. Adam Cushing is a much better football coach than Steve Adazio, especially in Adazio's back end of his career. I think he's going to relate to players better. There's talent there. I think that unit's going to be really good. And then finally, what if Texas A&M beats Notre Dame in week 1 in Mike Elko's first game on August 31st? They get the W against the Irish. I'm telling you, look out. I think they would be rolling into Auburn. That second to last game of the season with a chance to try to go get 1-1 against Auburn and Texas with a chance to finish in the top 4 in the SEC. 10-2, they're probably in the playoffs. I'm telling you, people may think I'm crazy, but I think that is it, guys. But again, I'm your host, Dave Shumate, coming at you here from the SEC Unfiltered platform. Guys, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're going to have stuff all over this network next week in Dallas. Our guy, Chris Phillips, is going to be boots on the ground. I'll be doing live reactions to every coach's press conference. But again, guys, I appreciate you joining us. You have a phenomenal weekend.